Well, welcome back to Morning Express. At this point on the program, we'd invite our newspaper analyst who joins us virtually to lend his thoughts to the stories making the rounds. We're now joined by the president of the Nigeria Nexus, Patriot Desmond Patriot Fowobi. Hello, Patriot. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Vito. Good to be with you virtually this morning.
Now, we'll be starting with one of the controversial stories making rounds all through the weekend, and that is the Prerogative of Mercy, as captured in Nigeria's 1999 Constitution as amended. Section 175, Chapter 6, Part 1 gives the president the power to pardon inmates and also commute sentences. But as much as people see reasons with the Prerogative of Mercy granted to late environmental activist Ken Saro-Wiwa, General Maman Vasta, and the infamous Maria Sada, who was convicted for killing her husband, there are mixed reactions trailing the decision of the president, who, in line with the provisions of the Constitution, consulted the National Council of State before reaching these decisions. What do you make of the reactions of Nigerians greeting his decision, however?
If I can get you correctly, because the hard back here is very much, but I can struggle to hear you. I believe you're talking about the presidential pardon that was granted to some drugs and some drug dealers and all that, and those who convicted for the use and sales of drugs. If I can get it correctly.
Yeah, to include posthumous pardons as well for 175 persons. Yes, please.
Yes, was that the question?
Yes, please. Carry on.
All right. So what I want you to understand, basically from the decision of Mr. President, you need to understand that there is no sane or civil society that believes in the condemnation or the killings of those who are being caught wanting or fall short of our laws. In respect to this, we have an incarceration system that is now translated to mean a correctional place or a correctional service. The prison is no longer the prison that used to be known. Prison is a place for recreation of behavior and integration of people back into the society. And I believe that the pardon that was granted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not in any way contravened to the law. And I believe also that the president would have made his decision after due consultation with his national security advisor, his Ministry of Interior, and some other stakeholders in the internal security of the country. And I believe that the decision of the president was well thought out, maybe after a certification that these people have now been reintegrated properly, and they are now repented, and they are ready to contribute to national growth and development. And that is when the president took this decision of pardoning.
Now, in contrary to your opinion, the likes of ADC and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar believe that such pardons only embolden criminality, that more persons would take to crime, saying at best it only take another president to pardon them after they serve but a few years.
Well, because of how foreign our judicial system have been, there are a lot of people that have been convicted that are innocent. There are people you find in the prison today just because of coincidence. And then I do not understand the position of the former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Because it's not just in Nigeria, it has happened in different parts of the world. We have seen presidents in different countries that gave state pardon to even convicted criminals after proper reintegration. The essence of the prison itself is not for condemning citizens, but to correct some behaviors. And I believe that the president would not take any decision or action that would jeopardize the effort of our security architectures and agencies. My belief, my strong belief, is that when you convict criminals and you take them to the prison, the essence of the prison itself is to correct their social vices and behavior. I believe that before this set of individuals got this pardon, the president would have done his due diligence.
No, Patriot Desmond.
That the people given pardon cannot in any way contribute negatively to the socio-cultural life of the Nigerian people.
Now, Patriot Desmond, in being very direct, out of the 175, a number of those persons are no more, so they were granted posthumous pardons. But one of them, infamously, which Nigerians are talking about, is a certain Maria Sadu, who was convicted for having killed her husband. Well, when you look at such persons who got the life sentence and were to serve their punishment, does convicting such persons send a different message because they took the life of another person?
Yes. Bito, I'm very sure you have not seen the list of those who are given the pardon. Have you?
I'm with the list right now. Now, viewers can also see an infographics of the breakdown, an overview of all those persons who were granted pardons. 70 of them, which forms 40%, are drug-related offenses. We have those who are also in for arm-related offenses, human trafficking, financial and white-collar crimes to include illegal mining. So the list is here. Most of those watching the show can also see it. 2 posthumous pardons for Sahabat Macaulay, 1 for Major General Maham Vasta, and the Ogoni 9 were also pardoned, who were also sentenced for murder as well. So when we talk about murder, we have over 10 of them, to include Maria Sada, who was famously convicted for having killed her husband.
Well, my belief is that to her is human and to forgive is divine. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu understood this perfectly and wanted to boldly from the scripture, from the Holy Bible. And we human are counseled to emulate our Lord Jesus Christ. And I believe that Mr. President has acted to the advice and believe that yes, it is possible for human beings to make mistakes, commit in their dark time or dark stage of life, and then believe that forgiveness is defined. And in the divinity nature of God that the president is borrowing from, he believes that this set of individuals can still, in one way or the other, after this proper reintegration that has taken place in the prison, can still contribute to national growth and development. The president cannot take any decision without advice.
Patriot Desmond, I want to draw an analogy here, and away from the president and whoever he's granting pardons to, are the families, the victims' families, who for some reason were believing that these convictions would be justice seen to have been served. Now that justice has been overturned in their perspective, almost similar to what people complain about reintegrating Boko Haram members into society. Don't you think so?
I don't think so.
So how do the victims' family now find some semblance of justice, having lost loved ones to the hands of some of these convicted felons?
Well, like I said, and I believe that the president or the position of Mr. President, I wouldn't want to delve deep.
Now, I'm not talking about Mr. President here. I'm talking about the victim's family. How do they find solace? Now that whatever justice they thought would have been done has been overturned.
Just like I told you earlier, there are some people who are convicted not as a result of coincidence.
And we know about those people, but for the ones who are found guilty of murdering persons, how do the families now find solace in that justice they thought was served but has
Okay,
now been overturned?
another thing I believe the president is already working on right now is to also broker a peaceful and also compensation plan to victims and to some individuals who have been affected by the deed of this forgiving. Because it's not just to forgive, there are a lot of processes that will lead to their forgiveness. And I believe that the president would have taken to the best advice to ensure that at the end of this decision, things goes normal in this country.
Well, it's our hope that things will return to normal. Whilst it is his constitutional power, the family of the victims also have quite a say in the matter as is being captured on the online debates. But let's leave that and come to one that affects the education sector. Yesterday, in an interview, the national president of ASUU, Professor Chris, was talking about what he feels is a betrayal on the part of the government in reference to the 2009 agreement as brokered between ASUU and the federal government, saying that the federal government has not been sincere in keeping with their promise and has vowed that ASUU would begin a 2-week strike. However, the federal government is also replying those threats by saying it would invoke the no work, no pay policy, saying that ASUU does not prioritize keeping the students in classes. Another debate sparked by different opinions. What's your take on it?
I think the echo back is much, the all back. So I can't, maybe you can just take the question back. I can hardly hear your questions.
What's your position on the ASUU federal government issue?
Yeah, this issue has been lingering for years, right from the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1999. Wise Adams Oshiomhole was the Labour chairman, and some other members of ASUU. There have been series of industrial actions by not just ASUU but also SAMU, as well as NLC, and so many TUC and so many other structures of these unions. The point is that the decisions that successive governments has agreed that they have failed in implementing. And I do not know why governments will reach an agreement, reach an understanding with these bodies and find it extremely difficult to meet those promises and decisions. Personally, I feel like the federal government has not done enough in terms of, because I believe that some of the people that are saddled with the responsibility of managing our tertiary education do not really understand the implications of their actions, how it affects not just this ASUU. I believe that ASUU is fighting for the right of the student and the health of our institutions. These strikes are legitimate because federal government has not done the needful in terms of quality education, in terms of investing in our tertiary education system. So for me, I am not in any way in support of government's failure to meet the needs and agreements mandated to them despite negotiation and everything. For me, it's uncalled for. But then I like to advise ASUU to carry the student along, so that the fight can be a win-win for both the students and the workers and the lecturers.
And I'm hoping that the quality of connection allows you to hear my next question, because the union cited a loss of over 309 professors from public universities, saying that the current remuneration the federal government has deployed is not allowing them to best maximize their services. A lot of them are being drawn outside the shores of Nigeria or even into the employment of private universities. What does this speak to the quality of education available in our public universities
Uh,
as a result of this?
that is the point. That is the problem. You see, you cannot give what you don't have. When when much is given to you, much is expected from you. This same applied is applicable to our education sector. The quality and the level of the products that comes out of our university in the country is really bad and poor, and it's getting worse by the day. I've seen university graduates that their conduct and their logical reasoning is below standard. And this behavior is so uncalled for in a country we believe that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. When the youth that are meant to be the leaders of tomorrow do not have all the quality educations, so they can contribute largely to the development of that country, what we are experiencing presently would be the order of the day. Haven't you wondered why things are going haywire in Nigeria? It's simply because of what? The bedrock of every children, which is the education, is not solid. Our education system is porous. And so far, most people privileged who prefer to send their children outside for quality education or private university. Do you know that the condition of our education system is so bad that lecturers sometimes have to raise money to power their laboratory in order to teach experiments, to carry out experiments, to teach our children practical. There are some universities you go to, federal university you go to, state university you go to, that the environment for is not even conducive. A situation whereby you have 200, 300 students in one hall. What would be the quality of delivery from the lecturers? Do you know that there are some places you go to that lecturers will be teaching in phones because there are no aids of technology and amplifiers that can amplify the voice and the video, so that other people at the back can see. You find out that the kids, the student at the end of the day are on TikTok, are on Facebook, and doing all sorts of things while lecture is going on. So the point is that federal government needs to make quality investment in our education sector to improve the quality of lecturing and the productivity from our institution.
Now, in the next 2 weeks, so to say, starting today, it's a similar scenario that has played out before now. The no work, no pay policy, a threat by the federal government. How do both parties, because it's a negotiation, how do both parties avert a repeat of history in that regard?
Yeah, you're talking about history.
The no work, no pay policy, it's happened before. How do the federal government and ASUU meet to avert a recurrence of history?
Well, I believe that it's a sense of direction and purpose. ASUU have a purpose and a duty of care to the university and to the students, while the federal government have a duty of care to the Nigerian people as well as the staff and employee of the university. For me, the continuous or recurrent crisis between the ASUU and the federal government, for me, is totally uncalled for, and I do not understand why it's reoccurring. In the first instance, it shouldn't be, Because if they understood their purpose as employee and staff of the university, as well as government over the people that want the best for the people, there shouldn't be issue. It should be a negotiation. It should be a team. The federal government and the staff of the university must build a formidable team that is founded on progress and the future of this country. It's because of misplaced priority and lack of understanding of their both roles. And that is why we're having issues. ASUU, meanwhile, federal government, meanwhile, where is the problem lies? Where actually do we have the conflict of interest? Is it that the demands made by ASUU is illegitimate or is not good? And then is it that the federal government cannot understand those demands or claims by the ASUU? So why then should we be having strike affecting the life and the quality of our education now and then? Why can't we have a more formidable team between the federal government and the staff so that we can have a prosperous Nigeria? It's really, really saddening.
Well, Patriot Desmond, we must appreciate you, despite the communication constraints of unstable networks, for lending your thoughts to these major issues, making the rounds on the program this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.
Have a nice day. Well, these discussions continue, and starting with the prerogative of mercy, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would not be the first Nigerian president who would come under scrutiny for his exercise of his constitutional power. From Shehu Shagari to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, successive presidents have exercised this at one point in the other and has drawn criticism, like did President Goodluck Jonathan in 2013 when he pardoned the former Bayelsa State Governor Alamis Yaga, despite the latter being convicted of corruption and jailed. It did also spark criticism. The same with President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo at the time, and even the blessed memory of Umaru Yar'Adua, who had used the presidential clemency to pardon agitators in the Niger Delta region. But the recent decision by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is being viewed with scrutiny based on the category of offenses for illegal minors, convicted drug offenders, and murderers. People are looking at it from the angle of connotations in line with presidential or political favors as well. It's a big debate making headlines this morning, and we'll resume these discussions after the break. Stay with us.